Morning. Pierre Guidetti is here with us from the Fabriano Paper factory, and welcome all of you in today meeting with the brands about brand news. Today we have my favorite brand. Sorry for saying it, but I live and was born in Fabriano, and the Fabriano is here with us. So I give the line to Pierre. Please, Pierre, introduce us.
Okay, buongiorno, oh, bonjour, hello, good morning, good evening, where are you? We are in the world of watercolor. Thank you, Anna, thank you for your magic. You know, we are in the heart, in the epicenter of watercolor. Fabriano is, to me, is the birthplace of watercolor, because that's where in the Middle Age, invented paper, and I would say invented the concept of watercolor paper. And here we are. Anna is doing such an amazing job. We have been working, I've been going to that FabrianoInAcquarello. It's the heart in the medieval, you know, town of Fabriano. So please, please, please come next year and the year to come. It's just unbelievable. So why am I here today? Because I love Fabriano. I love the paper of Fabriano. I love Anna's organization. This is the center of the world for watercolorists. So here I'm Pierre. You know, I have an Italian name. I'm French and Californian. So I represent Fabriano in North America, and I'm in love, and I think it's fantastic. So please, you know, I've been working for so many years promoting Fabriano, promoting the art. You know, I want to remind you something. Art is good for you, is good for the world. Thanks to organizations like that Anna does, I think we're doing good things for the world. And it's fantastic because it's global. When I go to Fabriano during Acquarello the week, you meet people from all over the world, 80 countries, 100 countries, I don't even know, I can't keep track. And that little town is full of watercolorists everywhere, in the street, in the chapel, in the museum. So I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy that you are all here today. And you know, you in for a blast. I know it started yesterday, but it's Monday. It feels like for me it's the beginning of it, but I missed yesterday. But now I'm going to follow everything through the week. And so my company is called Savoir-Faire. Savoir-Faire, it means know-how. It's know-how to paint. And what we do, we find the very best material, mainly from Europe, and to distribute all over North America, and to promote the art, to promote watercolor, to promote paper. So on that note, I want to wish you a fantastic day, a fantastic week, and 1, 2, 3, go paint! Woo! All right, Anna, let's go!
So Pierre, now we go with the beautiful video you organized about the Fabriano factory and the Fabriano paper, and I share my screen and we go to your YouTube and ask the people to kindly enjoy the vision of this video together with us. And
yeah, so
paint.
Enjoy, go paint, have fun. And if you have any question, you can always write us, ask Anna, I will respond later. So have fun. We can't hear anything.
Yeah, we restart. Sorry, it's my fault.
And by the way, I'm in Paris today. Then it was, the video was in San Francisco.
Buongiorno. Hello. How are you? My name is Pierre Guidetti, and I am the co-founder of Savoir-Faire, which we started 40 years ago. So Savoir-Faire, we are specialized in importing what we believe to be the best artist material from Europe that we bring to North America. And we are very involved in promoting the arts and particularly in education. We believe art education is essential. So why Fabriano? Fabriano is part of our family for the reason that they check all the boxes. First of all, the Fabriano company is original, is historical. They are the first. In fact, we can argue that we can state, not argue, that it is the first maker of watercolor paper. We invented, over 750 years ago, the notion of paper the way it's made today. So for that, we are the original. Then on an ethic point of view, Fabriano is very concerned for the environment. We are ecological. We make sure we use, hydropower. We don't use toxic chemicals. We use FSC when we use high alpha cellulose. So we are environmentally correct and do the right thing. We are fair trade. We have ISO. So it's a very, very ethical company. And three of our pillars, savoir-faire, is the quality. Fabriano has always committed to have the best quality in their category, and with that, at a fair value. So that's why with savoir-faire, we married with Fabriano. And for many, many years, for almost 30 years, we've been working together to provide you the best paper possible. So I was talking about history, and I'll be brief because we give full lecture about paper history, and you can learn, you can go to the Fabriano Museum and all that. Just basically, what you have to remember, in 1264, in the Middle Age, Fabriano was the first European country to make paper. In 1264, 13th century, over 750 years ago. Here in Fabriano, that's where the art of papermaking began. So imagine this, in the little town of Fabriano, at the time, maybe, I don't know, let's say 10,000 people. He was the equivalent of the Silicon Valley of today, but of the Middle Age. Imagine the invention of paper. What a revolution, much bigger than internet. With paper, we were able to promote the arts, to promote religions, to exchange in trade, to share your love, your passion, literature, music, everything. It just totally changed the world, and particularly the art. Because before that, it was very expensive, complicated, difficult to produce art in a way you can share and show. So, in fact, one of the three major inventions of Fabriano in that Middle Age is one, how they were able to break down the cotton rags in order to make a pulp, if you will, to make paper. Second was the watermark, and I'll get back to it later. But the watermark was first a way to, identify the maker of the paper and whoever was the patron of the paper. And three, and that's the most relevant, and that's what we're going to talk today about, is the sizing. So at the time, paper was invented before, back in the Orient and all that. I'm not going to go into details today, but I want to bring to your attention that before then, before Fabriano, there was no surface sizing. So one of the things that Fabriano in the Middle Age had invented was the sizing. At the time, you know, Italy, very famous for the beautiful leathers and the tannery. So this guy was very smart. They were thinking and decided, maybe we can use that residue from the hide, no kind of rabbit skin glue type of thing, if you want. And bingo, they find a way to treat that gelatin coming from the skin of the animals, and boom, you could argue this when watercolor paper was invented, because with that sizing, you were able to do water media. At the time, we didn't call it watercolor, but you can do ink, you can do many different things. So I'll get back to that. One of the unique things of Fabriano, which is also very, very special, is the fact that they know we make a three-way of making paper. You know, making paper, you can make it by hand, the way it was done in the 13th century. Basically, you know, you keep, you know, in the pouch with the water and by hand, do one sheet at a time. Then there is mold made. Mold made is actually sort of a mechanical way to reproduce handmade paper. And then you have fourdelier, or so-called machine made, which is the most modern, efficient, fast way to make paper. So today, I would like to focus in one genre, because there's so much to talk about, you know, but I'll go over real quick. For what, I'm not talking only watercolor, because at Fabriano, thousands of different kind of paper. So watercolor, we have from the top, the handmade paper. We call it esportazione, or we call it Roma, that's it. Then we have the mold-made paper. The top of the line is Artistico. Then you have Fabriano 5, 50% rag. Then you have Studio, 25% rag. And then you have 1264, the new paper, which is the most economical with no cotton, but still double sizing in a very good paper. So now today, I want to talk to you about Artistico. We've been working with all the team at Savoir-Faire, with all our teachers, ambassadors, even influencers, to understand better the need, what they like. And we've been working very hard. And then with Fabriano for the last few years, I personally, and we as a group and the fantastic team of Fabriano company have really redeveloped, improved, enhanced the Artistico that was existing for a while. So what did we do? We worked on the sizing. We decided, so no longer, and we started to change for a while already, but no longer zero animal sizing. Okay? All vegetals, not even chemical, nothing, just pure vegetal. That's how we developed the new sizing. So it's vegan, but it's also super archival and very important, just the perfect balance of that absorption. As you know, the sizing, that's what makes the difference. With the sizing, you know, that's where you find how does the color can be stay on the surface with the pigment so it can shine, it can be vivid and bold. But at the same time, you need to penetrate, to be absorbed a little bit, but just at the surface in order to show the depth of the painting and also for archival property. So we are very, very proud of this sizing, I think, very exciting. At the same time, we also decided, because we think it's important, that we have reviewed the watermark. You know, remember the watermark, we invented the watermark 750 years ago. And after getting the feedback from our teachers or master watercolorists, we found that maybe we need to change a bit the watermark to make it more discreet, always in the same place. And there is this beautiful watermark, which is a real, one of the oldest. The watermark is probably 700 years old. So we really want to make sure the artist is happy. It doesn't take too much in his painting, but at the same time, it can be recognized, because you will see that there is a situation where, because you work on Fabriano Artistico, you can almost ask more money for your painting. So it's very important to show the watermark. It's a sign of quality and a guarantee of archivalness. The third thing is the décollage. We have in the new Artistico 4 décollage, 2 natural, comes from the mold, and 2 which are torn, come from the waterline. This has 2 benefits. One is aesthetic. Some people like to show their watercolor in full sheets, and to show the 4 décollage is very aesthetic, especially if you float your painting in the frame, but also a sign of quality, because the fact that you have 4 décollage guarantee the fact that it's a mold-made paper, and therefore archival, high quality, and will last forever. So this is what I want to talk to you about Artistico. So Artistico, we've developed it. We've had it for a few years, but this year, I call it Artistico 2.0. You know, in Italy, we call it also enhanced Artistico. It's so great. We got it. So many people so happy. We got it. So I think probably the best would be to show you a little bit, to demo, so we can talk more about feature and benefit. And I would like to, at this time, introduce you to my buddy, I was going to say, my right arm, director of education, as is an artist in his full right. She's also an instructor, teacher, but work with all our teacher ambassador to promote, the love of watercolor. So I was wondering, Andrew, would you mind showing us around? And we're gonna switch here. Sir, go ahead. Thank you, Pierre. Buongiorno. Buongiorno. You have to speak Italian now. I can't do it. I'm sorry, everybody. All right. So explain what you have here. So I asked Andrew to pick a couple of things and to show, we're not going to demonstrate how to do watercolors. You guys are the expert. But to show a couple of things, why is it so good? So
Absolutely. So what I've got here is I've got 4 different sheets of watercolor paper. I picked 300 pounds just because it would look good on film. I have chosen the 4 surfaces that Fabriano makes. We have a hot press surface that is just subtle and smooth and wonderful. We have the extremely unique soft press surface from Fabriano. It's exclusive to them, and it's got just a little bit of a delicate texture to it. And then we have our traditional cold press paper, the one everybody knows and loves. And then one that's getting a little bit more attention as of lately is the rough paper. And Fabriano just makes a wonderful rough paper. So with that, I wanted to do a quick wash of some color to kind of showcase those textures for everybody.
Andrew, should I do a close-up, you think?
Sure. Come
Okay.
on up and we'll take a look at it. All right. So I'm going to use the same color here on all of them.
So what color is this?
This is one of my favorite colors as of lately. It is Sennelier's Permanent Alizarin Crimson Deep, and it is a quinacridone burnt scarlet pigment. So it's just a lovely color. So if we look at the hot press, you're going to see that it's got that smooth quality. So everything can have such a fine line. But then if we move on to our soft press paper, it's got a little bit more of the peaks and valleys. And you can still, as our friend Lauren McCracken may tell you, you can still get some extremely fine detail there. And then if we move on to our cold press surface, you see a little bit even more of the peaks and valleys. Still can get some fine detail, but it really grabs the color in a different way. And then we move on to our rough surface paper, and you get a lot of the peaks and valleys. And a fine detail is able to be accomplished, but it's not generally the goal when people are working on a rough surface. So as that dries, we'll be able to take a look at it, and you can see that there's some granulation here, but it's not accumulating in little pools or divots like we see in the soft press. It's starting to accumulate little pools in the divots there. And then in the cold press, there's even a little bit more of that granulation effect as it accumulates. And then in the rough, even more. So just step by step, those four surfaces give you slightly different textural qualities.
And can you tell us more about the soft press? It's true, soft press is very, very unique to Fabriano. And you know a little bit the story because I was behind it. Can you talk a little more about the soft press just for a second?
So the soft press, as Pierre mentioned, he had a little bit of a hand in helping that come to life. But the soft press paper is like I said, it's a kind of a subtle texture to it. It's got more texture than a hot press, but less texture than a cold press. A little bit more of a uniform texture too. So not only is it phenomenal for watercolor, with a lot of our friends, our ambassadors, our influencers using it and really loving it, but we have a lot of friends and ambassadors and influencers that are also mixed media artists or drawing artists who really love that surface texture for their charcoal, their pastels. So it's just a really, really fantastic surface quality.
All right, so now a different color.
Now a different color, and I'm just gonna kind of come into the same area here so we can see the way the colors interact on that paper. And you can see on the hot press that the colors just meld in a much smoother way. And then as you generate more texture, the colors grab in a much more rough kind of way. So very delicate all the way up to the very kind of rough interaction there. And it's kind of a dance that those colors play together. So one of the things Pierre wanted me to showcase is the lifting ability of these papers. So I have a little area here where I've already got some color down, some ultramarine blue. And I just wanted to take kind of a stiff synthetic brush. This is the Raphael Textura that I like to use for a little bit of lifting, and start to kind of pull some of that color up.
Oh, hold on, let me give you this.
Oh, perfection, thank you. So as we...
So you're lifting, so you can explain why it's lifting. It's a very special ability for paper to be forgiving. You can go back, not all paper, that's what we're talking about, the right balance of sizing.
Exactly. If the paper has too delicate of a sizing, then going to lift will end in pilling. And if it has too much sizing, then everything will lift essentially. So it's important that the balance of the sizing is very perfect in a way, so that you can lift on all these different surfaces, not just the hot press or the smooth or the soft press, but also on some of the more rough paper, like the cold press here, or the actual rough paper, where those divots tend to prevent some of the lifting in a lot of traditional papers. But Fabriano has gotten around that with this beautiful vegetable-based sizing, so that lifting is very easy across the full range. So lifting is important because it helps you have a little bit of a buffer. You know, you don't feel like you're committing every time you lay down a wash, you can pick some color back up. So it's extremely important as you get into the work that you're able to do a little bit of lifting. Though, as all of us know, certain colors are going to lift better than others, which is why I chose the ultramarine blue, just because it has a tendency to be a little more forgiving. If I would have chosen something that was phthalo or quinacridone, I might not have had exactly the same success, but I would have had a little bit of lifting. In fact, we can try, as I mentioned, the ultramarine or the alizarin crimson permanent deep that I used here as a quinacridone color. So I can showcase some of the lifting there. And as I mentioned, it's a little more difficult to lift on a rough surface.
Wow, you're able to lift a quinacridone. That's it, because it's considered a staining color.
It is. And then this turquoise here, let's see which one did I grab? This turquoise here is a cobalt, so it's going to be pretty easy to lift in general.
Oh, cobalt green, beautiful. My God, from Sennelier.
So I'm really happy with the lifting capability of the new Fabriano, the new surface sizing. It's really fantastic to work with.
But tell me, can you tell us or show us, and I know it's improv, but the other characteristic of the sizing of Artistico paper that makes it particularly forgiving, the lifting, for instance, but also resist, because sometimes people, the surface is a little softer than other brands, and people sometimes are worried it's not as strong, doesn't take the abuse, and that's what I hear the opposite. I hear people saying it takes more abuse. Can you explain that, please?
You know, everybody is going to work differently, so it's really hard to answer that. However, from the work I do, I'm pretty aggressive. And so I can tell you that it takes a really good beating. I know artists who use razor blades and X-Acto knives in their work, and I've never heard of the new Artistico having any problems with that. It doesn't have any problems with pilling. You can rework it and rework it. Even if I go back into some of this stuff that I've already done some lifting on, I'll go and I'll try scrubbing at it.
So it takes the abuse. Look at
this. It does. I mean,
even hot press.
Even hot press. If I'm really, really rough, the pigment is starting to move around on me, but we're not seeing too much fuzziness here.
All right. So scrubbing, lifting, wash, and also the beautiful wash. Did you see how the wash are delicate and all that? Can you take like a big, show us with a big brush, one of those big, whatever you like. Oops, sorry. Aha. So look. So look, like even with a lot of water, it doesn't buckle, it doesn't move, and it's even. So that's fantastic. All right. So
let me jump back behind the camera, Pierre, and we'll let you continue to discuss some of the aspects of Fabriano.
Aha! Voila!
Sorry if everybody got motion sick there. All right, back to our battle stations.
So basically, we wanted to show you that it's a fantastic paper. Artistico is so delicate and yet so strong. A little bit of absorption, but no, it resists, with a beautiful sizing. So really, honestly, I think we found finally just the right balance. So now I would like to, something I forgot to talk about with Artistico, we also have two different color for the Artistico. So we have the extra white and we have the traditional white. So in fact, I don't know if you noticed in here on Andrew's work, there is the traditional, so off-white, and the extra white is white. So let me talk about that because it's very important. Extra white, and the reason why we call it extra white and not bright white, it's for a very good reason, because it's the whitest we can get naturally without using bleach, chemical, without using optical brightener, because those paper, so-called bright white paper, no good. This bright white is gonna age, change color. It's gonna be yellowish with time. It's not archival. So we have the whitest, most archival color paper. So we clean the fiber. First of all, we source the best cotton fiber. Then we wash it. It's like a giant washing machine, but we steam, and then we send it through the steam so all the dust gets away. And then we have this extra white. Pure, natural extra white. Then the traditional white. The traditional white, it's interesting because it's the white that the best white we were able to do a century ago, a couple centuries, which we didn't have the technology to make it as white. So what we do now, we kind of reproduce the original color, which is a little off-white, and it has an advantage. Not only it's very traditional, that's what you see in museum are mostly traditional white paper, but also have a technical advantage. When you have an off-white, a little warmer, it's good as a base. It's like toning your paper a little bit. It's easier for your eyes to make, mixed colors and all that. On the other hand, many watercolorists use the white as part of the painting, and sometimes, if you do a snow scene, you want very white. If you have, so that's why they're both good. In fact, at the end of the day, depending on the season, the region, we almost have 50-50. So that's really up to you. Also in weight. For the new Artistico, we've decided to focus for now in 2 different weights. So we have the most common, the most used, it's the 300 gram per square meter, GSM, or in English, we say 140 pound. This is the most common. This is what we use. Most of the students, the teacher, that's when you do class and you do a lot of painting, use that. But the one I love the most is the 640 grams or GSM, because it takes even more abuse. And when I paint or when I experiment, I love to use a lot of paper. Watercolor is done, you use the water, let it flow, let it be, and then happy accident happens and it flows and you're surprised. So with the 300 pound or 640 GSM, it doesn't buckle, it stays flat, and you can bit it and all that. So 2 weight and 2 color. 4 surfaces, an extra white, 3 traditional. So this is also, so this year, as we were launching it, we had to focus on the essential. So we have sheets like here, you have a 22 by 30 standard sheets. I think in England it's called Imperial. We have the 29 by 41 inches on 640 grams. It's very big, but like this and like this. We have something that people forget are the rolls. This is a roll, 55-inch wide. It's fantastic. It can do giant. 10 meters long or 11 yards. So that's what you can do, giant painting, frescoes, effect, and all that. And what we have, which is unique to us, we have a 640 gram roll of paper. So it's very tight, you see, like this one, it's very thick. You cannot draw it too tight. That's fantastic. So, and then we have, oh, here I brought some, the blocks. So, you know what the block is. I don't have you all great watercolorists. The block has really, just as a reminder, is glued on the 4 sides. So it's 300 GSM, but it's not that bad because even if I buckle a little bit, the fact that it's glued on 4 sides is like stretching the paper, okay? So the block, the sheets, and the roll. And so this is where we are. So I just want to say something again. I'm so happy to be here. Fabriano, the town, the FabrianoInAcquarello, the Fabriano Paper, the Fabriano Museum, the Watercolor Museum. Fabriano is the center, the epicenter of watercolor love. Every year, Anna has done such an amazing job to create by herself at the beginning, and now thanks to a few of you, volunteers, have created the most amazing, the biggest, the most fun watercolor festival in the world. 80 countries, thousands of people. So please, it was so tough for last year and this year. Thanks to Anna, we are able to be together this year in Visio. I'm so looking forward to see you next year at Fabriano, probably in May, June. Stay tuned. So on that note, I just wanted to say thank you. Continue to do watercolor. Watercolor is fun, play with it, share it, enjoy it. And if you are professional and you want to sell, make sure you use the right paper, because the right paper will make it archival and will last for centuries. So first have fun, play, but look at what you use. So I hope that's helped. I want to inspire you. And, many very famous people have used that paper. At the beginning, working with Fabriano, I went to the museum and what did I see on the watermark of an Andrew Wyeth watercolor in the museum? Fabriano. The other day in Santa Fe, we went to the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum with Andrew. We're giving lectures, a conference. Boom, what did Georgia O'Keeffe use? Some Fabriano. So Sargent, Sargent that came to Paris, originally from Italy, from US, but Italy, France. So he came to the Sennelier store to buy his, special brown pink. But more important, he was getting his paper, from Italy, from Fabriano. So we can go on, and I'm not talking about all the great contemporary watercolorists that all use Fabriano, but I think most of them. And also Philippe Guston was also a great user of Fabriano paper. So, and I think there's, when you do watercolor, make sure you use the right surface. It's so depending. It's so important because if you don't have the right absorption or that, the paper is alive. I'm not saying, you may use different papers, but make sure you pick the right paper that you can work, you can depend on. That's also another advantages of the new Fabriano Enhanced is the consistency. You see, it's much easier to control the consistency of the sizing when it's vegetal than when it's animal-based. So that's one of the reasons. You want to be depending from one batch to another. So on that note, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Fabriano. Thank you, the city of Fabriano, the company, and all of you all over the world. And I'm really, really hoping to see you next year at Fabriano. On that note, go paint! Woo! See you next year. Ciao, bello. Arrivederci. Au revoir.
So this is finished with the Fabriano, and our next appointment with Fabriano Paper is going to be next Sunday, 6th of June, with another meeting with Giuseppe Prezioso, and we will tell you more about the Fabriano Paper. See you later on with the Fabriano in Acquarello 2021. We go on with more and more performance.